Welcome, everyone, to the Daily Juice Podcast on the Betting Pros Network. I'm your host, Sean, stacking the money green. And as always, give me a follow on Twitter at Sean T. Green. And, of course, we're presented by BetMGM. Use a promo code JUICE. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on first deposit. How about those Eagles? Oh, man. How about Boston Scott? That was a great hit. Dallas Goedert got a touchdown. It was just... great day of football. Great day of football. Didn't hit the crazy stuff. RIP, the Noah Gray touchdown and the Jack Stoll stuff, the real degen stuff. But in my defense, they were running routes in the end zone, in the red zone. They were running routes, near the goal line. So yeah, those are some long shot stuff. Didn't hit, but again, up a ton of units. Went big on my birds. And then, let's get to it. Let's get to the recap. Of course, Boston Scott anytime touchdown that came in. I feel like I've been preaching it on every show I've been, every guest spot I've done. I'm like, Boston Scott always scores a touchdown against the Giants. He's kept the streak alive. Nick Sirianni, player's coach, he's going to get it for our boy Boston Scott. And Jags plus 9.5. That hit 27-20. If you're a Chiefs backer, you can complain like, hey, Mahomes got injured. But also, Chad Henne came in there and drove them 98 yards down the field for a touchdown. And that Agnew fumble, I feel like they were going to cover a lot of different ways. And people are upset. Oh, he's going for two there? Yeah, you need two scores. You should, if you're in field goal range and you get stopped, you kick the field goal and then you try and recover the onside kick. Doug P now 7-0 as a dog, 7-0 ATS, and he's been a dog every time. 5-2 straight up. Jags, got the cover 27-20. I feel like I was decent on the handicap there, that they would kind of sneak in the back door. That's what they did. If you're a Chiefs backer, I see the gripe, but that's kind of how I saw it shaking out, that they would get a late score and sneak in that back door. And of course, Eagles minus 7.5 for all the units, 38-7 on the 5-year anniversary of them destroying the Minnesota Vikings 38-7 to then move on to the Super Bowl. Of course, now they're hosting the NFC Championship. Are we going to face the Cowboys? Are we going to face the Niners? I don't know. I don't know what I'm rooting for. I guess I'm rooting for fading the Cowboys because I'm always going to fade the Cowboys. But that 49ers team is really good and very good on both sides of the ball. Very physical, and I think are going to be a tough matchup. If Dallas does end up winning the game, then they would be playing their 5th road game. We'll get more on that when we break down that game. But either way, we get the extra day of rest. We're at home. We got Jalen Hurts, who, if he's not 100%, I mean, that's pretty good for 80% or whatever is going on. Really, the defense played lights out. The running game, the offensive line. I mean, really, the story was Lane Johnson was healthy enough to just help push them around, and they just imposed their will on a softer, weaker New York Giants team. I mean, when Brian Daboll punted, down 21 on 4th and 6 in the second half, it was basically a wrap. So shout out to the Eagles getting that win. Nick Sirianni going nuts. But hey, we got a couple more games. Hopefully knock on fiberglass, a.k.a. wood. And we got some more picks for Sunday. Before we get to that, youtube.com/bettingpros. Go there, hit subscribe, comment on this video. Again, what's your favorite prop for the Sunday slate? And you get a 1-year free premium upgrade, or you could if you win, of course, the contest. That is what the contest is for. Every comment is a entry into the contest. Just takes 2 seconds to comment. Always appreciate hearing from you guys, either in the chat, on the Discord, the YouTube comments, whatever it is. Always appreciate you guys. And I always appreciate Betting Pros Premium. I can't say enough how helpful this tool is, or just all the tools they have included in there. Whenever I'm doing my props, whatever my, when I'm scheming up these picks, I always take a look at the Betting Pros projections and what they got going, because the numbers are good. You should have some math involved, and what are you going to do, all these manual calculations? It's way too much work. Let Betting Pros help. And then obviously, if you don't feel like waiting to win the contest, bettingpros.com/upgrade. Bet smarter, not harder. All right, we're going to bet smarter, hopefully, on this Sunday. Starting off with the first game, Bengals at Bills. I'm taking the Bengals plus 642 units. Get that over on BetMGM. Again, as a gut handicapper, the Bengals feel like they have a real chip on their shoulder. And this Bills team, they struggle to cover and close out games at home. And I mean, they get the wins, but do they get the cover? Obviously, that's what we're here. So we're talking about. They're 3-6 ATS at home this season. Bengals, meanwhile, 7-2 ATS on the road. The Bills have played 5 playoff teams this season. They did not beat any of them by more than 4 points. And the Bills, 7 turnovers the last 3 home games. I think Josh Allen feels pressure, right? Because their offense isn't quite as good. Their defense isn't quite as good as previous years. So he feels like he has to do it all. That's forcing him to maybe, make some throws that he normally wouldn't do, or, hang in the pocket too long, waiting for someone to get open, strip sack, that kind of stuff. And I think this Bengals defense can be opportunistic. Obviously, on the Bengals side, the huge concern is missing 3 offensive linemen. Although if you look at their backup left tackle, I don't know if it's a huge drop-off. And if there's one guy that can win a playoff game without much of an offensive line, it's Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow factors in, and the Bengals seem to factor in like, hey, all right, he's going to get sacked 6 times. Here's how we're going to win the game. I think they're a live dog in this game, but at the very least, this feels like a 3 or 4 point game. 6 points to me is just way too much. And the Bills really showed a weakness to high-end receivers. I mean, Jalen Waddle was open a number of times, and Skylar Thompson got the ball there. Jalen Waddle had a couple drops. Even Tyreek Hill had a couple drops, or at least one that I remember. I think if Jamar Chase and T. Higgins get those catches, look out, because I think they're going to be able to move the ball in this Bills offense. And I think some of these Bengals players are like, hey, we were winning that game Monday night before they stopped it. Why isn't this game on a neutral field? They feel like they have a chip on their shoulder. And again, I keep coming back to like the Bills. There's just so much emotion. Is Hamlin going to be at this game? I think there's a lot going on. And also, if you're the NFL, and I'm not usually much of a conspiracy guy when it comes to calls and refs, but if you're the NFL, how do you get this whole neutral site thing to go away? Maybe give the Bengals a couple calls. All of a sudden, it's Bengals Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Don't have to worry about setting up a neutral site game in Atlanta. I don't know. There's a lot going for this Bengals team. Matchup-wise, I just love them and 6 points. And if they do get down, I mean, Joe Burrow down 10 points late, I think he's getting that back door. Moving over to the late game, and of course, I do have some props coming as well. Cowboys at 49ers. I'm taking the 49ers, minus 3.5, 4.2 units. Kind of hit on it earlier when I was talking about who I want the Eagles to face, but this is the 4th road game in a row for the Cowboys, which is historically like super rare, because you have to end the regular season with 2 road games. Then you have to win your first road playoff game. I mean, this travel schedule's crazy for them, right? They played that game Monday. Meanwhile, the 49ers played Saturday, and then they're all the way out in Florida, fly back to Dallas, then fly out to San Francisco. I think that adds up, especially against a physical team like the 49ers. Jason Peters left for the Dallas Cowboys, and I mean, right there, isn't that a red flag that you should be fading the Dallas Cowboys? One, that they were playing Jason Peters. I mean, Jason Peters was washed up in Philly. They moved on from the Chicago Bears, who always need offensive line help. They're like, Jason Peters, we're good, man. You seem like a nice guy. And the Dallas Cowboys were so desperate they had to sign him off the street. It is always funny, that expression, off the street. Like, you just imagine they're roaming the streets, or they got like an old timey cartoon stick and bindle, and they're like walking by the railroad tracks, wheel block for food. Either way, the fact that they're starting Jason Peters, or they were last week, not a good sign. And the 49ers are just great. Yards after catch. Coaching advantage. Who's going to scheme up a better game plan? Kyle Shanahan. I like to bust Shanahan's chops, but he certainly deserves to be in the mix for Coach of the Year, doing what he's doing with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. I know everyone wants to give it to Dable. You may have to burn that playoff film if you're making the case for him for Coach of the Year. I know it's a regular season award, but Kyle Shanahan has been really doing great. And the offense is better under Brock Purdy than it has been under Jimmy G. Like, he's more mobile and seems to run it better. And, man, 49ers just keep winning. 8-1 ATS their last 9 games. 6-0 ATS their last 6 home games. And, the Cowboys matchup-wise, I know I was on the Bucks there, but, in hindsight, it was kind of a great matchup for the Cowboys. Now they face a a dominant rushing offense and a dominant rushing defense. So I think that's kind of a worst case scenario for this Cowboys team. And last but not least, I think they can turn Dak over. So, yeah, give me the 49ers laying 3.5 for 2 units. All right, rapid fire on the props. Zeke, longest rush, going under 11.5 yards over on DK. Again, the 49ers only allow 79.2 yards per game. Best in the league at not allowing yards after contact. I mean, that's how Zeke gets his yards. He slams into someone and falls forward because he's a big fella. His total rush yards are set at 34.5. The fact that his longest rush yard is 1/3 of that to me seems crazy. So I think that's a bit mispriced. So give me Zeke under. On the other side of the 49ers, give me Deebo Samuel over 15.5 rushing yards on DK. He just seemed to attack the field, and Kyle Shanahan's going to do whatever he can to get this guy some touches. He had, I think he had a bunch of carries last time they played the Cowboys. Might have been 10. Either way, he's going to be involved in the running game. 15.5. The way Deebo's running, he could get that in one carry. So I love Deebo Samuel over 15.5 rush yards. And last but not least, the D-Gen play. For those who practice the dark arts, I gave it out when we talked about the Bills-Bengals game originally, when it was on Monday night. Reggie Gilliam had a red zone reception, and then the game got voided. I think they could bring this back. Reggie Gilliam, anytime touchdown. It's 25-1. I really think this is a possibility for the Buffalo Bills. They love him near the end zone. He's due. I may even sprinkle him for the first touchdown. Make sure you check that out, bettingpros.com/Discord. So he is the D-Gen only long shot. Reggie Gilliam, anytime touchdown, 25-1. Deebo Samuel over 15.5 rush yards. Zeke, longest rush, under 11.5. 49ers minus 3.5 for 2 units, and the Bengals +6 for 2 units over on BetMGM. Promo code JUICE. Get that $1,000 risk-free bet on first deposit. Follow us on TikTok at Betting Pros. Follow me on Twitter at Sean T. Green. Check out my other podcast, The Sports Gambling Podcast. Tune into our pregame show live 11:30 a.m. PST over on YouTube. And you know what to do. Subscribe, rate, and review. And as always, don't forget to let it ride.